Hi, today I'm reviewing the second book in the Healer series by Maria V. Snyder, and it's called Scent of Magic. Now this is the book, this is the UK cover I think, and it's very pretty. Again, it's another chunky book, 416 pages or 18 pages, and okay, so Mirror Inc., the UK publishing company, sent me the first book. It's up there, I'm too lazy to get it. And then I kind of went through a big rigmarole to get the second one, and eventually I got onto her publisher, and she happily sent it out to me. So thank you very, very much for sending this book out to me. So in this book, it's very different because Maria V. Snyder has how many books? This is her 9th or 10th book. And it's the first time she put more than one point of view in it. So, like all her other books, the whole book is from one character's point of view. And this one, we have kind of the majority from Avery, but every second chapter is from Carrick. His chapter is a little bit shorter, but so Carrick narrates kind of half the book too. Usually, I prefer when one character narrates a book. Like, I much prefer it. The only time I can kind of, accept it is if the two characters narrating are in the same situation. So you're just getting kind of like a different view of what's happening, which I think is fine. The thing I don't like is when there's two characters narrating and they're in completely two different situations, so it's practically reading two different books. And also, when you read every second chapter, like, I just finished Avery's chapter, and you're like, oh, I want to read her next one, and then it goes on to Carrick, and you have to put your mindset back in the Carrick story, like, okay, what was the last thing that was happening with Carrick? And then when his chapter is finished, which you're like, oh no, it's finished, and you're on to Avery, you should go back again thinking, okay, what was Avery doing? Like, it's not as much effort as I'm making out there now, like, you easily get back into it, but, like, the flow of the story is kind of broken up, which isn't great sometimes. Like, it builds tension, I suppose, and you have to wait until the next one, so there's like cliffhangers all the time, but I much prefer if it's either just one character or just one kind of situation. And that's another fault as well, like Carrick and Avery are separated in this book, which is kind of sad because they just get together at the end of the first one, and you'd love to see them together. They have the first chapter together, which is really nice, and then yeah, so they're separated for practically the whole book, and then at the end, of course, you have the big cliffhanger. But in this book, I don't think it was as good as the first one, because I loved the story in the first one. It was very kind of Snow White-esque, Avery with all these kind of guys, and they go on a big journey together, and there's all little different things happening along the journey, but it was one, plot point. They had to get from here to heal the king, and then the relationships developed on the way. In this one, I don't think there was like one straight journey plot, not so much, but there was lots of little things happening, and I don't think they were as enjoyable or satisfying as some of the things in the first book. Like the relationships, there wasn't great relationships formed. Maybe the character kind of was, but I don't know, I just wasn't really into the story in this one. It was very kind of like, they're all fighting a war, a battle, and they're in this like camp of soldiers, and every few days they go out and try and fight their way, and then they come back injured. And Avery was undercover for a while, which is, I suppose, kind of interesting. Carrick, we're so used to him being this like really strong character, and he gets kind of captured and knocked down a bit, so it makes him more vulnerable. I'm not sure what to think about that. Of course, like Maria said, was a really good writer, so it was good. It was written well, and there was some exciting parts in there. And Avery is great as always, but sometimes Avery, she doesn't need to be involved in everything. She really wants to be involved in everything. There was a big joyous moment in the book too. I'm not going to spoil it. So it was a nice surprise. There's a few deaths. Like overall, it was a pretty good book, but I wouldn't say it was amazing. I was a little bit disappointed. I suppose because I loved the first book so much, I was expecting a lot more from it. I don't think it was great. Just the story itself wasn't as you know, enjoyable for me. And yeah, it was a pity Carrick and Avery were separated, and actually the whole group were separated. Like Balin was gone for ages, and yeah, so we'll see about the next book. I'm hoping the next book will be better. I'm not liking what happened in the cliffhanger. I'm not. But you know, hopefully, yeah, hopefully it'll just be better in the next book, and I enjoy it and love it, and you know, it'll get back up to its greatness. I think it's better when it's kind of simple as well. So that's my spoiler-free review. Now I'm going to do a spoiler review. So if you haven't read this book, I suggest you switch off now. So yes, Avery and Carrick had the first chapter together, which is lovely. Then Avery, like, she explained later why she kind of left him and wanted to go off to Estrid's army and, you know, help her sister and blah blah blah. I know she thought it was great because, you know, everyone thought she was dead, so she could go undercover. But like, I don't think like she really needed to go. She didn't really accomplish much because people found out about her pretty soon, and I don't know, I felt like it was just all that heartache for nothing. So yeah, Carrick and Avery did reunite in the end, thankfully. I was worried actually they weren't going to reunite until the third book. But they did, and they had a lovely reunion, and then we had that stupid cliffhanger. I was kind of happy, it's like, yay, one more chapter, and then when I read the chapter I was like, yeah, I wish we didn't actually have the last chapter, because it's just, I don't want another character to get sick and die, and I don't think he's going to die, but you know, dying, and yeah, I don't think that was necessary. We kind of had that already. We had that with Avery. We had characters almost dying all the time, and it was sad when Avery's sister died, but I don't think we got enough of her to actually feel that bad about it, you know. It was a lovely surprise to see Flea come back. I'm not sure what to think. In one way it's great and lovely, but in another way I'm like, sometimes I wish authors made the tough decisions and killed off characters and didn't bring them back. I'm probably thinking that now because I know when I first read he died I was going mad, but I'm kind of over it now a bit, so I'm like, was that really necessary? But it was a nice surprise. Like Avery's relationships with all the kind of guards, the sergeants, was nice, but I don't think it was as good as her relationship, you know, with the boys in the first book. And the portrayal, I didn't really care with the portrayal. Like in the end, didn't have a big impact on me. Tohin, yeah, he's scary and you know, a terrible person, but it was very similar to kind of what happened in the first book as well. Yeah, the Death Lilies and Peace Lilies, it got a little bit complicated after a while. I do think it's an interesting concept, and I haven't read something like that before. The next book, the third book, will be out, I think December 2013, so for a year, and yeah, I hope it'll just be a really, really good ending, and I hope that Balin will be fine. I assume he's going to be fine, and Flea's going to wake him up. Yeah, and I assume Carrick as well is going to be fine. But that's my review. Unfortunately, I know it's not a glowing review like the first book was, but I know, because I know it could be better. But okay, that's that. Thank you very much for watching, and tune in next time.